Shubor nakaslem jong udongsan Hima.
Menteri Rangba Conrad ke sangma hagasngi balang ulai Ïathuh bakandan kajing Ïakynduh Menteri Korbari Amit Shah hagajanmi jong kasngi palai hanong ba Delhi. Banyak ren Halor kajing Pynbeit put usam bat kasorkar Assam. Hagasngi balang kaken hun menteri kala aijing menjur Halor kajing aijing mut jong kilai tali ki regional committee kibalale che kilai phunriu tali ki shnong haki hinriu na ki khat ar tali ki jaka kibadan hapdeng kajing ka japut bat ka Assam. Conrad ulaong bahdien kajing Ïakynduh badu Amit Shah katanat Korbari kan sapet Bniah bat ay kajing menjur. Henry Conrad uklem patre ban Ïathuh Bniah Halor kini kirai ni kijing ay jingmut jang kiteki committee. Bad ulaong bayakan ni on sapente pat ba hadien kajing Ïakynduh Amit Shah Lashai kasngi.
We had a very important cabinet meeting today, and in the cabinet meeting there were 5 agendas, but after that we have only cleared 4 as of now. But very important agendas, as you are already aware. The first agenda was the recommendation of the 3 regional committees on the interstate boundary between Meghalaya and Assam. The cabinet today has approved the proposal or the recommendations that have been given by the committee, and these recommendations will now be forwarded along with the recommendations from the Assam government to MHA for further action. Second, we had today passed the adoption of the NH Act for land acquisition for construction of National Highway. So there's a Land Acquisition Act, and now the NH Act will be applicable, which will be applicable only for National Highway projects only. So for other acquisitions, the normal Land Acquisition Act will be applicable. And this is being done throughout the country by most state governments. And the central government also has urged the government of Meghalaya to approve this. With the approval of the land acquisition to be done under the NH Act, we will be reducing the time for land acquisition from 3 years to down to 1/3, so maybe max of 1 year. So it's a huge advantage, and it obviously will ensure that the projects are completed much faster. Committee report, because as I said, we have finalized, but we will be presenting this to MHA, and Assam also will be presenting it to MHA. And after we have the detailed discussion there, the government of India and the MHA will have to come to a final conclusion, but more or less the structure has been reached after a long drawn exercise between the 2 states. Without going into the maximum details of this, because we'll make it available to you after our meeting with the Honorable Home Minister, which will be tomorrow evening, post 6 o'clock, we'll be meeting the Honorable Home Minister. The important aspect is that we as state governments have felt very strongly that yes, apart from historical facts that are there, it is very important to keep the people's sentiments in mind. And therefore, the willingness of the people in specific areas has been one of the main driving forces or the principles on the basis of which we have reached to most of the conclusions in most of the areas. We have also seen ethnicity as something very important. Both the state governments have felt strongly that any state government may try to claim some areas, but the people living in those areas, if they don't wish to be with a particular state, one cannot force people to forcefully come into a particular state. So this has been the basic driving principle for us, and that's why we have gone down to the grassroots level, and the committees have meticulously gone and visited every single 36 villages which were under dispute or differences in the 6 areas that were there. And after detailed visits to these 36 villages, we have finally come to an understanding where we have tried to follow these principles that I have just mentioned to you. So you have heard the ministers and the Honorable Chief Minister yesterday. They have given you some aspect of the report, but I would refrain from going into details fully right now, and I will be giving the report to you and details to you once we finally come to a conclusion. I mean, we have come to a conclusion, but we would like to share it with MHA. But what is most important to remember and to note today is that it's really a very, very important day, and this very important issue which has been there for the last 50 years and was very difficult to move forward from all angles, that today, due to the efforts made by the different committees and the two state governments, we are actually finding and seeing a solution that's coming out, where we have consulted multiple stakeholders, we have had multiple meetings and multiple visits, and as I said, this is truly a very, very important and a historic moment where we are able to actually move forward and resolve some of the areas of differences that are there. So I'm sorry I'm not able to share the full details with you, but as I said, Assam has given some idea yesterday. It is more or less in that line, but we will be able to give you more details once I return from Delhi tomorrow late night. Thank you.
Tell us how
That we will proceed to Delhi tomorrow, both Assam, Honorable Chief Minister of Assam and myself, and we will submit this report to the Honorable Home Minister. And after that, since both the states have more or less agreed, I should say 100% agreed on both the reports, so we are going to be submitting more or less a common report. And then I think further the Government of India will have to move, according to the laws for the bill to be put up. But while that happens, administratively, the two states will further discuss about the nitty-gritties in each location, because as you're aware that we can work out the villages that are there, so we can agree on villages, but demarcating a border, these are aspects which are within the provisions of the parliament and the powers of the parliament. So therefore, those aspects will have to be done at the parliament level. Survey of India will have to come in, joint inspections maybe have to be done, and the bill has to be there. So all those aspects are there. But as I said, we have managed to at least move a step forward where we have said that these villages are there. And in some areas, we have actually been able to look at some natural boundaries that are there, like rivers and forest covers to kind of demarcate some of the boundaries. In fact, in most cases, we have been able to do that. Now, that will be again, as I said, placed at the Home Minister's level. As I said, we can have administrative units and administrative control over certain areas, but the actual demarcation of the boundary line will have to be done by Parliament.
okay,
And do we expect with only 2 days left for the statehood day, and tomorrow you are meeting the Union Home Minister? Do we see that on the 21st of this month there will be a joint declaration as far as resolving this issue?
See, let's not try to link this activity, the exercise that we have done, and that kind of setting a deadline for the whole process. It's a process that continues, and obviously there's a lot more work left even after this. But what is important is that the two states have come to a conclusion before the 50th year. We have submitted the reports. The procedure and process will take time. We will be coming out, as I said, with more details once we have shared it with MHA and the Home Minister. And once we more or less come to a kind of a common agreement in the presence of the Home Minister, that will be the appropriate time for us to declare and share the details of this. But obviously the entire paperwork process will take time. But I think what is important to note is that, yes, before the 21st, we have actually managed to come to some kind of an agreement on the six locations of differences. That was there in the entire disputed area, and the square kilometers was 36.79 square kilometers of areas that were the differences.
Assam had convened an all-party meeting yesterday. Last meeting, TMC and Congress was not here. So, do you prefer an all-party meeting so that it is known to them?
So the different committees are already, in fact, having a meeting, will be having a meeting with their respective committees to share this report. And as I said, we have already taken the inputs of all the political parties into this entire aspect. And we'll be happy to share this information with them, but we'll see the time is required or not. So, I mean, the time that is available for us to have this. But as I said, the committees are having the meetings. And if you have noticed, the regional committees have got representation from most of the political parties in the committees also, so including CEMs, including different stakeholders. So the regional committees are going to meet post 3 o'clock. I think some have started meeting already, and they will share this report of the 3 regional committees and the cabinet's report that is in the